What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to take off my MBRP Power Sports muffler and do a repacking on it. About 3-4 months ago, started getting louder and louder. I've had it for about 2 years now, and I think it's just getting to the point that it needs to be repacked. They did not have a kit available when I tried to do that, so I got an eBay aftermarket, just kind of a random kit, and used some packing for it, and that packing has not lasted more than a month or so, and it has gotten to the point where anytime I get near water and the muffler gets wet, it gets extremely loud and rattly. So I finally got the kit by MBRP that was on back order. I finally got one of those in, and today I'm going to put it on. Alright, so the MBRP muffler has a bolt here and a bolt up near the top, and that's all that holds it in other than the pipe itself. I think the last time I had to remove it further up. I'm going to try to remove it here at this spot because it looks as if it's loose anyway. I may end up having to replace the joint there. We got a little bit of loose little play in it. Simple as that for the removal. Make sure you don't lose your lock washers. And that is everything there. Alright, so opening up this MBRP, it is a 4 Allen head. I'm just using a simple little ratcheting attachment. I usually go through with a little brush. This one's just a plastic brush to make sure there's no dirt in the holes, so you don't strip out the holes. Make sure it's got a good fitting when you go to use it. I see a lot of people strip out Allen heads all the time, and it's because they're not seating them in there good when they're using them. The new kit with the packing, I believe, comes with new hardware as far as new bolts. I haven't actually opened that package up yet. We will here shortly. But I have made sure to clean these off, and they're still in good enough condition I could reuse them if needed. Some dirt settles up in there, mud. Get your spark arrestor, get a wire brush, and really clean that out good so it's nice and clear so you can see through it good. From there, you just have the outside bolts. Now, another way you could do this, but I'm a little more worried about stripping things off, so I don't usually like to tighten or loosen bolts with an impact. But once you're started, you could throw it on there just to get them out faster. Alright, so that's it. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5 bolts holding this in. This just slides right in the end here. And I'll clean that all up. Everything else looks fine on it. It's not worn down. Shouldn't be unless it's loose for any reason. You can see mud in the end. This packing here is not near as good as what came out of it originally, and I'll show you the difference when I open the new box. As you can see, there's almost nothing left of this. I actually have a picture that I'll add in here to show you what the original packing looked like when I took it out. It's a different material, where it was like a woven fiberglass maybe. I'm not sure what this is. This may be steel wool or something, but it is gone already. This is just 3 months of use. And remember, this is not the original. The original lasted me the first almost 2 years. I've had it more than 2 years now. But that is all that's left of this packing after 3 months of use. We do a lot of mud and water riding, so that's all that's left of it. Alright, so I'm going to just get this all cleaned up, and then we'll get the box opened up and do some install. Alright, so I wasn't really paying attention to how much came out. I thought I actually had disintegrated that packing there. The packing is still inside here. It is completely soaked. I can feel that. And it is similar to the packing that came out of it originally, but for some reason this has definitely held water, whereas the original stuff did not do that as much. And because this was not specifically made for it, it just it just did not do its job apparently. It's still some packing there, but definitely will be better with the new stuff. So looking inside this MBRP muffler, they did a real good job of having a sealed end. The packing goes in real easy, just slides right in, slides right out. But this seems to be made pretty decently. Had no issues with it. There's no holes in it, no rust. The welds are holding up good. Some they actually come apart at this end and this end to get the packing in, according to videos I've seen online. This one has been very solid. So real impressed with the MBRP performance muffler for the Can-Am Outlanders. Alright, here we go with the packing contents for the new packing kit. Here's the actual packing, and as you can see, it's more individually sewn. It's a not sure what material this is, but it's definitely a lot sturdier material, and you can see strands in there. Not sure if it's going to come through on the video or not, but you can see it almost looks like shoestrings in there. But I haven't actually looked to see what this stuff is made of. It does come with new hardware and a new seal ring for the outer, for here to seal up against the lip. I take it that's my old one. It is more like an O-ring on it originally, whereas this seems like more of a gasket. No, it's an O-ring, it's just a different color. So I did notice when I took it apart, there was a lot of mud down in here, and maybe that'll seal that up, keep that from happening. But that's everything, all the parts. One thing I do, and I'll remind y'all again when I'm putting this back together, I like to put some anti-seize on these bolts. The original stock muffler, the reason I had to replace it was because of the I had taken the spark arrestor out to clean it, put it back in, and it actually broke off the welds on the inside of the muffler so you couldn't even bolt it in. It basically just broke it from the inside, and putting some anti-seize on that will help a lot with the next time you need to remove it. Alright, so cleaned off the inner pipe. As you can see on here, the instructions don't really tell you which way to do it because it gives you kind of a universal picture of the packing type, but all you're doing is wrapping this around and shoving it back in there. This end has extra padding on it sewn into it for the smaller end, so when you wrap it up and it closes it up, it fills in the gap that would be in there. From there, you wrap it tight enough that it slips in the end. Obviously, one end is larger than the other. I actually don't remember which end is supposed to go in first. I'm going to have to say the smaller end. So yeah, once the smaller end is in, it actually seats into the channel, so it's exactly on this edge here. So you can pay attention to that when you pull it out if you go to do it yourself. Just for myself, I'm trying to make it where I rolled it, this at the bottom, so if water comes in, it has a means of drying out faster. I don't know that that would actually make a difference, but that's what I'm aiming for. You've got to line up the other end so that it sits in a channel in there. If not, it will not seal the pipe up. There we go. So the pipe is sealed at that end. Did not see anything about this excess. Like I said, the instructions don't really tell you anything about that. So I imagine it will be fine once this is pressed in. This will seal up to the inner ring here, so that way none of that's going to go anywhere. You want to make sure to put the new O-ring on. And like I said, I didn't have the kit last time, so did not even notice that O-ring because it was pretty much gone. O-ring just slips on like that. The only thing that really matters on this end cap is making sure that the holes line up from the side. That and the inner ring has to line up too, or it won't even go in. Something else that may be helpful, and I'm going to have to go get one, is a rubber mallet to make sure it goes in. necessarily have to have one. So there we go. The rubber mallet will probably aid with that O-ring. In this case, a dead blow hammer. Doesn't go down all the way to where you can get to each of these bolt holes. You may have problems. I think I'll get a couple in, and then it should be able to get the rest in too. Right, again, anti-seize on the new bolts. Help it for the next time you need to bring it off. They actually have an hour recommendation for how often you should change the packing, and it's way less than what I actually did. So mine was definitely overdue for it if you want the optimum performance and sound from it. Only bolts that they send you are the actual bolts for taking this end off. They don't send you any like new mounting bolts or anything like that. You may have dirt in the threads. Just twist back and forth, free it up to make sure you're not binding any dirt in the hole, which, you know, you may snap a head off of a bolt. If you feel any real binding, always take it back out and check things. I'm actually not trying to put this in there tight at the moment so that they can get all of them in. So from there, they all have lock washers on them, so they will not back out. They do not need to be overly snug. Alright, so I've got the end in, tightened all down. All I did was just snug them down, and you see how small of a wrench I'm doing. The bigger wrench you put on it, the tighter the torque you're going to put on something, and you definitely don't want to over torque small bolts. They're not going anywhere. If you really worry about it, take it for a ride, take the tool with you, and then check it after about an hour's riding, maybe sooner. Just check it, and then you won't have to worry about it. If they come loose a little, put a little more torque on them. Obviously, there's a lot of y'all that may be looking at this that know how to use tools, but there's a lot of people that are using YouTube to learn things. So I just try to give out any information I can think of as I'm doing it. Alright, I'm not worried so much about polishing the chrome up. I just want to get this done for this video. I basically just scrubbed out the cap, got all the thick dirt out of it. Wipe this pipe down so no debris is blocking. Keep it smooth, airflow. Not that it's really going to stop any of that. Cleaned up the spark arrestor, fairly clear. From there, just putting everything back in, and remembering, this is the upward position, so when you go to put everything on, you want to make sure you're lining things up properly. Again, same thing, I'm putting some anti-seize on these bolts. Locking up on here to the point that you can't get them off. And again, like this one's kind of binding up a little, so you just want to work it back and forth. It could be just a little dirt in the threads, and it will work itself out. Especially with the anti-seize, it actually helps lube the threads too as it's tightening. The rest of them in there. Video is going to be as long as it actually is, except for where I had to cut out spots from noises or something. I'm trying to do it real time. It's no more than about a 20-30 minute task once you have all the tools out you need. Going back and forth with tools, takes time too. I try not to just video me walking off and stuff. Alright, so we are bolted back up, ready to go on the ATV. All right, so the install is the reverse of the uninstallation. This bolt here, or nut, it's just a nut, it's not a bolt, is a 13 millimeter. The other one on the rear is a 13 millimeter right in there, and it's just a nut on the end of a stud. Same thing with this side of it, it's a nut on the end of a stud because it has this rubber bushing to, you know, keep noise vibration down. And this one has a same thing of rubber bushing on the inside here. This is a 13. It's a sleeve that goes over two round, like almost like a ball joint, and joins them together and clamps them together. If you're just getting the MBRP, it comes with this pipe here, which that is a 15 millimeter on this clamp. When you take off the stock, you can see I've got some bent metal here out of the way. It's not the best position for getting into this to put this on, but it's just it's not a major thing. Once it's all mounted, it's solid in there. It was actually a little loose when I went to take it off, so something I'll probably check in a week or two of riding, just to make sure everything's not shifted any, because you know, your pipe is connected to your motor, which does, you know, move, and that could, you know, vibrate some stuff loose. So now let's see, we'll just go ahead and crank it up and see what it sounds like.